Hey everybody, welcome back. So today I'm going to do another non-makeup, non-dialysis video, and I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite places. So, I love Hyvee. I love it. I love it. If you know what Hyvee is, I hope you agree with me that it's wonderful. And if you don't know what Hyvee is, you're welcome, because I'm going to tell you all about it. Hyvee is a supermarket or a grocery store. I don't know what you call it. It was founded in 1930 up in Iowa by, I know these names, Charles Hyde and David Brandenburg, I believe. So it was founded in 1930. It was called, I believe, Hyde and Brandenburg until the 50s when they had a contest to name it, and somebody came up with the name Hyvee, which is kind of a mix of the two names, and it stuck. And when I read that, I kind of thought, I wonder what that person did with the rest of their lives after they named Hyvee, which is the best place on earth. So I don't know. But so it started in Iowa, and it was and has always been since like very early on an employee-owned store. I don't really know what that means. I think it means something about like stock sharing or stakeholding. It's a good thing, I'm pretty sure. It seems like they say it as like a benefit to working there, is that it's employee owned. So, okay. I remember reading in like 2000 and early 2000s, it was ranked as the #2 largest employee owned company on Forbes. As of last year, it was like the 24th largest employee owned store. And my theory for that is that it hasn't spread past 8 states. So I'm gonna see if I can remember them. So Iowa, obviously, Minnesota, Wisconsin, South Dakota, Illinois, Nebraska, Missouri, and Kansas. Boom. Okay. So it's in 8 stores and there's 285 stores as of like today. I don't know when the last time I looked up Hyvee information is. We're just going to go with today. And I think that they are planning on expanding in the next few years, but they haven't yet. So, 24th on Forbes isn't bad at all. And it's wonderful. So yeah. Okay, and so now that's like a brief history. On their website, they have like a through the decades thing that I've read all through, and it's a really neat story. So if you have time and you're interested, I understand if you're not going to be interested, check it out. So my history with Hyvee. Okay, so growing up in Bellevue, we had our neighborhood grocery store called Baker's, and it was pretty big. It wasn't like a mini store at all. It was the parent company of Baker's is Kroger. So there were some things that had like the Baker's logo. And then as I grew up, I started noticing more and more like the Kroger logo on foods. And I remember when I was in my, I was like 15 or 16 and I started seeing the Kroger brand and I thought, is Baker's getting bought? No, it turns out it's like a subsect of Kroger. When I was in college, I lived in Colorado for a little while, and they had a Kroger's little child company out there called King Soopers. And it was just like Baker's, but everything instead of Baker's was King Soopers. I'm still not over the fact that they spelled Soopers, Soopers. I hate that. Partly because it doesn't look right, and partly because I kept wanting to say King Scoopers. So there's that. Anyway, Baker's was great. It was one of those familiar places in my childhood. My mom, I'd go with her there like a couple times a week. We would see people that we knew. My mom shopped there for like 40 years and knew people in every department and would make like at least 2 new friends every time she went there. And it was just a positive, happy place to be. But when I was in college and I moved out to Omaha, I wasn't gonna drive all the way back to Bellevue to do my grocery shopping. And when I moved into my apartment, I saw across the street, pretty close by, was a Hyvee. And I had never been in one before. I'd seen commercials about Hyvee and their little jingle. And this is the jingle. At Hyvee, where there's a helpful smile in every aisle. Yes, sticks in your head, kind of like the song that never ends. So I decided to give it a try. And I walk in and I am immediately just like, this is where I'm meant to be. Everything, it was aisles and aisles and aisles, and everything was so neat and orderly and bright and clean, and the produce looked amazing. And they had all these like signs throughout the store that were written like in some marker, and I'm such a geek. I loved like the stock print that they had, like the font that they used. I'm still not convinced that somebody doesn't do them themselves, but every store looks the same. I'm not sure about that. P.S. I would love that job, making all the signs for it. Anyway, it was beautiful. And I have never stopped wanting to go to Hyvee since. It was great. So yeah, Hyvee. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you one of the biggest reasons, other than it just being amazing, why I love Hyvee. So I graduated college in 2011, and then I was going to move down to St. Joe, Missouri for my first big girl job. A few weeks before that, my mom was visiting my oldest sister who was stationed in Hawaii, and my car was in the shop. So I was using my mom's car that week to do my errands and do whatever I needed to do. So one day I'm running errands and go out to Hyvee because even though I moved back in with my mom, I still wanted to shop at Hyvee. So I did like the grocery shopping. My mom was coming back in a couple days, so I wanted us to be stocked with groceries. And I stopped at Walmart on my way home, that's like right near our neighborhood, to price pancake griddles because I had it in my head that when I moved to St. Joe, I needed a pancake griddle to make pancakes. Pancakes do take up a significant part of my life, and that's a whole other story for a whole other time. But long story short, I was in Walmart for less than 5 minutes and my mother's car got stolen. Yes. And again, another story for another time. But it was indeed stolen. We saw security footage of it being stolen. Right. Okay, so it's a long afternoon of talking to the police and getting a rental car for my insurance because my car won't be ready till the next day. And it's getting to be like late afternoon. And I'm still really frazzled, obviously. But I drive back out to that Hyvee and I go in and I talk to the manager. And I tell him that my car was stolen and all of my Hyvee groceries were in it. His first question, rightly, was your car stolen in our parking lot? And I said, nope, it sure was not. It was stolen from Walmart. I don't know what I expected. Again, I don't know what I expected this guy to do, but I showed him my receipt and he looked up the receipt and he let me replace all of the groceries that were stolen for free. And it was like a week's worth of shopping. So it wasn't just like I bought a candy bar and an apple. I wrote corporate later that month and mentioned, I don't remember his name now, but I mentioned him by name and I told Hyvee corporate, I will be a loyal Hyvee shopper for the rest of my life. And I have been. So if you're ever in Omaha and you want to check out a Hyvee, this one was 84th and Center. I don't know if that man is still the general manager. It's been like 12 years, but for a long time, that was my favorite Hyvee because of this experience there. So moving along, I moved down to St. Joseph, Missouri, and I was extremely pleased because their big grocery store was a Hyvee. And it was bigger than a lot of the ones that I'd been to, so it was even better. And I ended up making a really good friend there. She worked as a sample girl and then she moved into the cheese department. But I'd go in there like after work to get whatever groceries I needed and she'd be doing samples and I'd take samples and we started talking and after a couple months we exchanged phone numbers and then we became pretty good friends. And I mean, the thing is like she wasn't an old lady doing samples. She was like my age. So it wasn't like it wasn't weird at all. But that was just like such an experience and we were really close for a long time. We've both since moved. We've kind of lost contact, but I will never forget that. So then anyway, in 2012, and this is the part I get really excited about, they started their Fuel Savers program. Fuel Savers program. Let me tell you about this. It's one of my favorite things. So Fuel Savers program. It is when you buy certain products and each has like a fuel saver sticker on it. So let's say you buy a box of cereal for $2.99 and there's a 5-cent fuel saver. So you have a Hyvee Fuel Savers card and they add 5 cents to your card upon checkout. Or let's say you bought 5 boxes of cereal, so you get 25 cents on your fuel saver. Or let's say you found a different product and it's on sale and it's a 25-cent fuel saver and you buy that with 5 boxes of cereal because like cereal, then you have 50 cents on your fuel saver. So the thing is, things do not have to be on sale to be a fuel saver and things do not have to be a fuel saver to be on sale. They're not mutually exclusive. So something will be regular price and that week they'll decide it's a fuel saver. or it'll be on sale and a fuel saver. So it's kind of like you win 2 times that week. So then what happens? You can earn as many fuel savers as you can in a month period. And the fuel savers last for 30 days from when you earn them. So I'm going to explain this to the best of my ability. So let's say we're going to go back in time because I hate gas right now, to a cheaper time. And we're going to say gas was $2.50 a gallon. And so let's say over the month, you had stocked up $2 on your fuel saver. So you get $2 off per gallon when you fill up to 20 gallons. I've never had a 20-gallon vehicle. Mine are typically 17-ish gallons. So yeah, so you get $2. So you pay 50 cents a gallon to fill up your car. Now, they are not allowed to give you free gas. So the lowest you can pay for gas is 1 cent a gallon. And that would be like if the gas is $2.50 and you had earned $2.75 on your fuel saver. So you would pay, if you had my car, you'd pay 17 cents to fill up your gas tank. And this, was a long time ago. So the other thing, if you notice, I said $2.75 and gas was $2.50 and you pay $2.49. So that extra 26 cents is not canceled off of your Hy-Vee card. You still have 30 days from when you earn that 26 cents to fill up your car again. And you can, from filling up your tank, you can start earning them the next day if you go to the grocery store. Yeah, it's amazing and I love it. Okay, I'm gonna go a little further in depth with these fuel savers. There is this thing that they do. I don't know what they call it. I call it a fuel saver frenzy. And it's when it's a fuel saver sale for like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And sometimes they just throw like a random day at you and they'll put it on Facebook and they're like, fuel saver day. It's when you spend a certain amount of money and you get a certain amount of fuel savers on your account. So something they did through most of May and most of June so far has been on Mondays, they do a spend $45, get 45 cents on your fuel saver. That's great. Sometimes they do one where it's like spend $60 and get 30 cents on your fuel saver. I don't like that one as much because I don't typically spend $60 a week at the grocery store unless I need, like paper towels or dishwasher detergent or, non-grocery items. So that one's a little harder. But the thing with the ones that are typically like 60 for 30 cents or 50 for 25 cents is that they are stackable. So if you do have a larger family and you spend, $120 at the grocery store a week, for that 60 for 30, then you would get 60 cents for the $120. Or let's say you spend $150 on the $50 week, you would get 75 cents on your fuel saver. And the other fun part is that you can have these fuel saver frenzy days and get that, and also buy things that are on fuel saver. So for instance, on Monday, I went and I was spending my $45 and something I saw was they have this new Dawn dish detergent where it's like a squeezable bottle that you don't really have a lid for. Very interesting. And it was on sale. It was like $3.99 and it was a 15-cent fuel saver. That's money, people. So in my $45, I spent that $3.99. So I ended up earning 60 cents that day on my fuel saver. It's great. The thing is on that one, like the 45 for 45, it's not stackable. So you can't go in and, spend $90 and be like, great, I get 90 cents. Like it doesn't work like that. And they will stipulate that like on the advertisement, like if it's stackable or not, which is very handy because a couple times, way more in the beginning, I would go and I'd try to like stack them and they're like, not stackable. And that would be disappointing, but you live and you learn. And I'm very comfortable and familiar with the Fuel Savers program now. Another thing they did was, like during the Chiefs season, because we were in Kansas City, the day after a Chiefs game, regardless of whether or not the Chiefs won or lost, how many points the Chiefs scored in the game, if you spend that much in dollars, you got that many cents on your fuel saver. So let's say the Chiefs scored 14 points. In football, not great, but if I spend $14 the next day at Hy-Vee, I get 14 cents, not stackable. And I really love watching Chiefs games and like Chief Kingdom here. But when they score like 60 some odd, 70 some odd points in a game, like great for the Chiefs. But I'm like, gosh, do I really need to spend $72 at the grocery store? I typically will because 72 cents. But sometimes I'm like, come on, Chiefs, we can win with lower scores. Don't tell people from Kansas City that. But yeah, so when I lived in St. Joe for a while, they also offered 10 cents per prescription that you filled at their pharmacy. And I'm on a lot of medication, so that was bank for a while. And then they put on like the stipulation, like you couldn't have Medicare or some other insurances that help pay for your medications and get the Fuel Saver. So I stopped getting Fuel Saver credit. And I am not so far gone in loving the Fuel Savers that I'm gonna be like, I'll pay for my medications if I get Fuel Savers. Like, that's crazy, and I'm not gonna do it. But for a while, it was great. I'd pick up like 4 prescriptions, and I'm like, 40 cents, bam, there we go. So yeah, Fuel Savers are wonderful, and I love them a lot. They also do Fuel Savers for gift cards. So every $25 you spend, you get a 5-cent Fuel Saver. And I like me some Starbucks sometimes. So what I'll do, you know, every couple months or so, I will go to Hy-Vee and I'll get myself a $25 Starbucks card. And it'll be 5 cents on my Fuel Saver. What they do randomly throughout the year is they have like groupings of gift cards. So they have like fast food or sit-down restaurants or like, you know, home improvement stores. And then like Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or whatever. And they'll put this group and they're like, for this group, if you spend $50, you get a 30-cent Fuel Saver. I typically don't want to spend $50 on a gift card for myself, even though in hindsight, it's like I either buy the gift card for myself or I'm still going to spend the money at Starbucks. But when it's a 50 for 30, I'm like, yeah, I could just do 25, but I'd only get 5. By doubling it, I get 6 times the Fuel Savers. Like, come on. It's amazing. It's amazing. So gift cards are a great thing. And then, you know, other times it'll be like buy 3 Hallmark cards, get 15 cents off. And then certain stores will just have like in-store Fuel Saver specials. And those are just like a birthday surprise. I'm like, I didn't know this was gonna be a Fuel Saver. Like one time I went to a different Hy-Vee and I needed eye drops and it was like an in-store Fuel Saver and it was like, buy this, get 12 cents on your Fuel Saver. And I'm like, I wasn't gonna buy the name brand, but I will now. It's like $1 more and Fuel Savers. But something about Hy-Vee that I've noticed is also, granted, if they didn't have the Fuel Saver program, I might be a little less enthusiastic about Hy-Vee just because sometimes their prices are a little bit higher than some of the other grocery stores in town. But also, like their Hy-Vee brand, generic brand, is actually pretty good. And I'll buy like the generic brand a lot of times instead of the name brand just because it's cheaper and it's can't really tell the difference in some things. And sometimes they do like a Hy-Vee brands sale where every Hy-Vee item you buy is a Fuel Saver. Now that comes in handy for cheap things or inexpensive things like Kleenex. Their Kleenex boxes are usually like $1.25, or their canned fruit, because I usually eat like canned fruit cocktail. It's like $1.59. And it's a Fuel Saver. I mean, I wouldn't like buy a whole pack of like Hy-Vee paper towels for, you know, $15 for a Fuel Saver. Like that's dumb, but that's always exciting. So yeah, I love Hy-Vee and it's true. I've never experienced an employee there that didn't greet me with friendliness and helpfulness and a positive attitude. Because some of the Hy-Vees, like they're not all laid out the same. And sometimes it's like an adventure, like figuring out the store. But sometimes I get really confused because I'm like, in the other store, this would be in this aisle and it's not there at this aisle. So I have to ask somebody. And they're always, I mean, I'd say 90% of the time, they're like, let me take you to that item. Instead of just being like, it's in aisle 4 somewhere. Because something I can never remember where it's at is the Sloppy Joe mix. Because I like me some Sloppy Joes. And I can never remember what aisle it's in. And I feel like it's at a different place in different Hy-Vees. And I'd say 9 out of 10 times, 90% of the time, the person I asked just walks me over to it. Because I feel customer first. It's great. So yeah, so that's my ode to Hy-Vee. And I could talk so much more about this. This is something I bring up pretty quickly with people that I meet. I think by the end of our second date, like I told Joel all about Hy-Vee and Fuel Savers and probably like raved about it. So he probably thought I was a little kooky about Hy-Vee, and I am. It is what it is. But it's an important part of my life, and I love it. So are there any places that you guys love like that you just go there and you feel calm and it just brings you like a satisfaction? Because that's how Hy-Vee is for my life. Anyway, so that's that. Thank you for watching. I hope it was at least somewhat interesting. Thank you for letting me just express my emotions about this grocery store. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you later.